Hello, Samson here. So, welcome to 2024, where we kick starting the year on fire with books. So, practically, been reading some books. Then the resolution this year is to actually go back to doing book reviews on a weekly basis. That is going to be so intense because of how busy I think my schedules get and all that. But for the sake of my own growth and my own accountability to me, I myself resolved to be doing book reviews on a weekly basis. So this year started out with an interesting book that is by Jeff Hadderson. The title is What to Do Next. So in What to Do Next, the book centers basically around the fact that there are shifts that you need to make and moves you need to take in life if you're to move to the next level, and if you want to get more fulfilled doing something that you really love to do and you would want to do. So in the prologue, there is a quote I think that I found intriguing, just diving right into the book, which says there are some things you'll never know or experience until you open your hands and then let go of something. So there are certain things that you just never experience until you open your hands and let go. So the book is divided into like 11 chapters, all of them focusing on practically one and the same subject, but they've got different perspectives offering. So the first chapter, we are talking about knowing when to leave. So when you talk about when to leave, the pathway to what's next is usually about you knowing where to start from. That is starting where you are, doing what you do best, and then taking that course of action. So you don't need to have it all figured out for you to be able to take the next step or to move in the direction that you want to go. Ironically, not knowing what to do next can be a blessing because it's going to help you grow in the process and figure out what comes next when you really get there. In chapter 2, the focus is around the fact that it is time to make a change. Is it time to make a change, really? So the hardest part about finding out what to do next may be taking the very first step. So the very first step is something that gets quite a bit challenging, like for you to be able to move. So nothing is going to cost you more in life than the predominant belief that nothing is ever going to work out or nothing is ever going to change for you. So if you have that preconceived notion, then definitely it's going to be hard for you because the belief is predominant in you. So the fastest track for you to understand what to do next can actually be like the slowest, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is take the right and necessary steps to move to the growth that you want. At the end of the day, you cannot fast track character, you cannot fast track experience, you cannot fast track growth. So you need to move in those phases. In chapter 3, we are focusing on the waiting room. So in the waiting room, what the author describes is like the three phases, or the three types rather, of the waiting room. So you can either be in the waiting room waiting passively. This is where you are overwhelmed and you're completely out of focus, and then you're out of track, not knowing what to do. Definitely. So that is a passive phase of it. And then you can also recklessly be waiting. So the second one is a reckless waiting, where you've got tantrums everywhere, and then there is this frustration boils everywhere over you and all that. And then you can also actively be in the waiting room. So actively being in the waiting room, what that implies is you combine the wisdom that you would have gotten, and then you're going to leverage that to be able to help you go to the next level. But then to grow in the same process, there are like 5 things that the author recommends to do. The first one is you need to build your networks. At the end of the day, we know that your networks, where your net worth comes from. So you build that. And then the second thing is you create your optimal options. So the optimal options you're creating are the things which are going to really get you to where you're going when you begin to pursue them and do the necessary stuff to get you there. And then the third thing is you need to find your muse. So this is where your inspiration comes from. You just need to have that inspiration. However, it's one thing to be inspired and it's another thing to remain inspired. So the author describes the fact that to be inspired is something that you can just like have on a moment. It's a momentary base on a momentary basis. You just have it at the moment, but to remain inspired, you definitely require a plan for you to be able to do that. The fourth thing that you need to do in this phase is you need to develop a personal advisory board. So the personal advisory board, these are people who are going to help you get to you going where you're going. So what you need to ask yourself is who is going to be in your advisory board and what the agenda they're going to have. So it might be spiritual mentors, financial mentors, and everyone you might need in your life for your personal growth. Therefore, we are dealing with finishing well. So the best beginnings do not begin from the beginning. They rather start from finishing well. So you need a 5 strategy plan on how to finish well. The first one is you need to communicate your finishing plan. That is, maybe you're moving from a job going to a different one. Communicate your finishing plan. That is the first one. And then the second one, you need to create a game plan for your emotional health at the end of the day, because you're emotionally attached maybe to your job or the thing that you are doing. You're going to really need an emotional health plan for your transition from where you were to where you're going. Then you need to take the high road. So you need to do what you want others do until you maybe if they were in your situation or you were in their situation. The fourth thing is you need to express gratitude. At the end of the day, an attitude of gratitude is what is going to really help you to get to where you need to go. And then grieve well. It's going to hurt. It's going to be confusing. It's going to be everything, but you need to learn how to grieve. In chapter 5, we're discussing the path to your dream job. So practically, the path to your dream job passes through the current job that you have. Wherever you want to go, remember in chapter 1, you talked about starting where you are going towards where you're going. So the path to your dream job is going to pass through your current job. So you do not need to spend most of your time in frustration over what you cannot change. Instead, just be grateful for what you're able to do. Chapter 6 is focusing on the money war. So from the money war, what we're getting is the lack of money, therefore, can be like a very bad a bad master to you. There is a quote I came across that says money is a very good servant but a very bad master. So when you do not have some of it, it's going to be a very bad master on your end. However, for you to be able to create the money war that you need to have for your protection and for everything, money is a defense. That's from a biblical standpoint and from the factual events of life itself. So how high your money is going to go is dependent on you as an individual and on the things that maybe you want to do. But how long you're going to spend in the training camp is what's going to determine the height of your money and the depth of it. The longer you spend in there, I think the more you're going to have. So you just definitely need those. So there are like 2 steps for you to take for the money. The first one is you need to pick your financial curriculum, and then after picking a financial curriculum, you need to find a group that's going to help you go through the same financial curriculum that you've picked. And then in chapter 7, the focus is when you don't know what to do, which is practically, I think, what we go through for the most part. When you do not know and understand what to do, you need to focus on 3 things. The first thing to focus on is your calling. So your calling is where your heart is able to say, yes, this. And then you focus on your gifting, something that you're really good at doing. Focus on that area. And then the last thing that you focus on and you do not know what to do is the timing. So here you're practically positioning yourself in a place where you are ready for whatever is going to come. Chapter 8 centers around letting go. So there's a quote that says, getting to the next level always requires something. So leaving it behind and moving on. Growth itself demands that we move on. So you cannot go to the next level while still holding on to the things that have been hindering you, or things that are hindering you rather. So the three things to let go if you really want to go to the next level, to do what's next. The first one is you need to let go of your personal hurts that you've encountered. This is simply going to relieve you of um, carrying the burdens of this did not happen, that did not happen, into a realm where you'll be able to function because you've left that behind. The second thing to let go is your past mistakes. So the hurts and then the mistakes that you might have made because you are naive or because life just happened. And then the other thing that you're letting go is what people actually say. So the best thing I think every one of us can do is to live your life so that people who think you're wrong can be proven wrong themselves. And then in chapter 9, what the focus is when dreams die. So there is this four cycle phase of you dreaming. So the first thing I think to understand when you talk about dreams is you can have them, but life is going to test them and it's going to hit you. So what happens is there is a birth of a dream. That is the first phase where you're supposed you're actually going to have a dream keeping you up the whole night and stuff like that, where you're obsessing about it, and then when you start taking steps in order to make sure that the dream is coming true, it is going to go into a death stage where you see nothing happening and whatnot. And most dreams, I think, tend to die at this stage. But then when it survives at this stage, it's going to go into the resurrection phase now. So from the resurrection stage, that is where the growth is going to come in, and then the ascension stage is where you're going to be able to live your dream. So in chapter 10, we are dealing with what next feels like. So what next really feels like, there's a quote that says the scariest place to be is where you were as last year. So another quote says, if you are the same person you were 90 days ago, then you're failing far much behind. So there's certain questions I think which hinder us from really pursuing who we want to be. Some of the questions I think to ask the opposites of is, um, what if this doesn't work? But what if it worked in the actual sense? And then the other question is, what if my best days just passed? But what if they are right ahead of you? And then the third thing you need to consider is, this is not just happening uniquely to you, but what if there is someone who actually had passed through that? And then what if you do not really know what to do? Yes, you do not, but what if on the way you learned? So those are some of the things I think you need to tackle when you're looking at what next really feels like. In chapter 11, which is the last one I'm discussing, is it's time. So it's practically more of a summary of what the book talks about, because up until now, I think we've been able to focus on, you cannot eliminate what the risks are going to be if you're going to go to what's next, and if you're going to do what's next, but you can simply manage the risks. And then you can take your career assessment. So the book has got a section and some links where you can take a career assessment, and then you just start where you are with what you have, doing what you can. Pay attention to your gifting, your calling, and the timing. You also need to build your networks, you create your optimal options. Then you need to develop a personal advisory board. We talked about those people. Then you can climb the money wall as well. So the longer you take in the training camp, the better your life is going to be. And then the path to your dream job is passing through your current job, and then letting go of past hurts, what people think, and your past mistakes. That's going to help you go to do what's next. And then you just need to keep moving at the end of the day. So if you were to do what's next and live your life when it becomes so uncertain, then these are some of the principles I think to follow. So till we meet in the next segment, I am checking out.